Hello and welcome back to Vindication Sports. This is episode 5, and I'm your host, Jackson Hester, coming at you again. But just like the last segment, I want to do something that's not NBA, even though I think there's a lot of interesting NBA developments that have been happening. You know, there's talk about maybe Victor Oladipo playing. I know Bradley Beal said he's not going to really be playing. So maybe my Pacers tiers video was a little bit too early, a little bit premature on that one. We'll really have to see. I think I might have to do a segment just kind of detailing there. And there's some more players that haven't traveled. Like I said, I'm not going to be discussing why. I just want to talk about their impacts. But today I actually want to talk about something that's not considered one of like the sports, and I don't think I even mentioned it before on this channel. And but it's something that I really love watching. So this is really just me discussing things that I like. I consider it kind of on the same level as, basketball, football. I mean, there's not much that gets me more excited than playoff basketball, but, a really great UFC fight will definitely do it for me. I love boxing too, so we'll just see what I get to see. But I actually did manage to watch the first Fight Island, in this series of, I don't know how many Dana White has planned for it. On Yas Island in, I believe it's Abu Dhabi. I don't necessarily even know the country, but it's pretty awesome, honestly. The fights were, overall, I thought the card was pretty good. On paper, it's a great card. And in execution, it's good, but some things were left wanting, I think. But the very first fight that we caught, that I caught, me and my roommates, and then a friend of mine as well. We watched Paige Van Sant very unfortunately, lose to Rebus. It was brutal. Like she was such a far down underdog. I think she was plus 600. That hurt my heart to watch, but I feel like everybody kind of knew that was coming. Rebus is just too strong for her. It's just a mismatch. It's unfortunate, kind of sad. Anyway, I thought that fight could have been a little bit better too. I would have preferred a fighter that was a little bit closer to Rebus in skill level and strength. But Paige Van Sant's got 1 million something Instagram followers, so. Peter Yan and Jose Aldo. This was a championship fight. I love that, right? I think there were 3 championship fights on this card, which is awesome. Yas Island, Dana White doing it right. But anyway, this fight was, it was solid to watch the entire way until Jose Aldo basically was like covering his head for what felt like an eternity. I don't know how long Jose Aldo was getting beat on, but it felt like it was like 2 or 3 minutes. I think it's kind of shameful on the refs, to be honest. They needed to stop that fight a lot earlier. I know Jose Aldo was apparently okay. I guess those punches weren't really doing much, but I don't really believe that. Peter Yan is kind of a monster. He's the champ now. So what I'm trying to say is that those I understand it's a championship fight and you need to let it go on, but I think that you could have called the fight at a much sooner clip there. I don't want to see Jose Aldo get hurt. I think Peter Yan very clearly had already won by the time Jose Aldo was just trying to cover up his pride. You could just look on the mat. There was just so much blood there. But it was a great fight before that final engagement. They were trading blows, but I think Peter Yan really had the upper hand, and what do professionals do when they get leads? They execute. Peter Yan is your champion, so that's cool. And then you had Max Holloway versus Volkanovski. This was, I think, the highlight of the card. It was just a really great back and forth. I think that Max Holloway had the first 2 rounds pretty much locked up. He was coming out and looking great, in my opinion, landing a lot of significant strikes and not really allowing Volkanovski to play his game. But by the time that like rounds 3, 4, and 5 rolled around, Volkanovski just was, I think, in better condition, or he had just generated himself enough of like an energy lead. Like he hadn't expended as much of his gas tank as Max had, and he just was like, okay, Max, you're like sitting on 60% gas. I'm sitting on like 85% gas. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go pedal to the metal, and you're gonna run out first. And that's pretty much what happened. I think this was a fight that the judges definitely could have gotten wrong, if you know what I mean. I think that you could have strung together a way where Max Holloway wins this fight. Maybe if he's the champion. I don't know. Because, championship rounds, they always go to the higher ranked guy, right? Just always happens to go that way, doesn't it? But Volkanovski just really had an absolutely deadly final 2 rounds. And that's what really ends up making this a split decision. I think in a lot of ways, this fight would have gone Max Holloway's way, because he was winning pretty hard at the point of halfway through the second or the third round. After the second round, it was like, oh man, Max is here. He's about to take this belt back. This is going to be cool. We're going to get to see it. If Volkanovski can, maybe take a belt back from him in a 3, those are always the best bangers. They're bangers. The 3s, the third installment of the fights. I always think those are going to be really good ones. The 2s are awesome as well. This was a great fight, honestly, but Volkanovski really, really put that championship stamp on the 4th round, and especially the 5th round. I think that he absolutely just said, no, I'm not going to make any mistakes. I'm not going to give you any way back into this fight now that I've got myself a little bit of a lead. By I think halfway through the 4th round, Max was starting to get beat up. It was very clear that Volkanovski was going to have his way with him. And I talked about it a little bit before, but the championship rounds, they really weigh so much more heavy on the judges' minds for whatever reason. So I think the right guy won. Volkanovski, congratulations, new champ. Or defended the title, I think, actually. Never mind. And then you come down to the main card. Wow. Jorge Masvidal versus Kamaru Usman. I'm sorry if I get that name wrong. In my opinion, it was fun to watch because, every fight with Masvidal is a really, really fun fight to watch because it's a fast twitch. He's a fast twitch away from knocking anyone on the planet out. I mean, I don't know. He might not be able to knock out Francis Ngannou. I don't think anybody can knock out Francis Ngannou. I think that's just people might have, but the way that this man looks now, it's like wait. You want me to have a fight with him? No human on earth. No one wants that. Nothing wants to fight Francis Ngannou. The sand mine, It imbued him with the strength of 100 men. Probably the strongest person on earth. I mean, not the strongest person on earth, but he's like probably the best at translating his power into fighting right now. Scariest man on earth. Take your head off with a right hook. Masvidal, he's on that list too. You really, really don't want to see him in the alley. He is a scary man. He's just an absolute beast. I think there's really no other way to put that. And seeing him kind of get beat up by Usman was just a little bit sad. I know Usman is the champ, and obviously the champ can play however he wants, but, they really just kind of entangled on the cage the whole fight. Masvidal, it's kind of disappointing that he was so unable to get out and fight in the 4th and the 5th round. Which, I discussed a little bit earlier, the championship rounds. I think it was 100% clear that Usman won the fight. I think it was really a decisive fight. As much as I want it to be about, Usman stomping on feet of Masvidal, which I don't know I don't know why that's really allowed. I don't know. I'm not a medical guy, obviously, but just in my opinion, with common sense, with all the small bones and like fragile bones in your feet, that just seems like it shouldn't be allowed. That seems like a 10. If you're not gonna allow like 10 12 elbows, like, or sorry, 12-6 elbows. I mean, yeah, 12-6 elbows. You can kill someone with 12-6 elbow, I think. Well, 12, but certain things like headbutts, like, I don't know, man. When you're stomping on people's feet like that, I don't think that should really be. I think we might need to explore whether or not that's good for the sport. I'm not, obviously, it's legal. Usman did it effectively. He just destroyed Masvidal. He couldn't really box because his feet were clubs, effectively, and that's really on Masvidal for not practicing getting out of that cage bind he was in for what seemed like the entire fight. When he was boxing, it was like, oh man, Usman just has to make one mistake, and Masvidal can get back in the fight, and that's what you want out of a fight. But it really just turned out that the only mistake that was being made was the mistake of Kamaru Usman not holding Masvidal against the cage the whole fight, because he could do nothing. He could do literally nothing. So in the end, it ended up being kind of a great fight, just because of the wire to wire action of man, if Masvidal can just get out, like, he like jumps up and does a fake flying knee and tries to like catch him with a right hook, that could turn Usman stiff in one hit. I believe it. If it hits the right way, if Usman's just like high on adrenaline, high on life, he's like, yeah, easy chip, clapped. But unfortunately, it didn't go down that way. We don't necessarily care the way it goes down, because it was still a good fight. You have to enjoy the story more than the destination. Masvidal will be back. Hopefully, he can fight somebody else. Maybe somebody who's not going to be as dominant as a grappler. I would love to see him versus Conor, because it would just be the epitome of UFC. Just tomfoolery, and I would finally have a good reason to root against Conor McGregor, who's kind of just been my favorite fighter just by default. But I really think Masvidal's up there still, even after this loss. So good luck to Jorge Masvidal. Congratulations to Usman on, I believe he just kept the belt. This is great. I love UFC. I'm definitely gonna do more episodes on it if I get to see cards again. I'm excited to, see how the rest of this story shakes out, like with all the champions and whatnot. So anyway, thanks for watching. This has been episode 5 of Vindication Sports. I've been your host, Jackson Esther. Have a good day.